Welcome to Q&As. I'm delighted today to begin a series of 3 programs on memory. This is a first, I think, at least for our series. And this will be the first of this 3, and this particular program is what is memory fitness? I'm delighted also to have as guest today Kathleen Taylor, who is the head of a memory committee that we'll talk a little bit about, and Shirley Metzger, who is our clinical social worker who conducts the memory classes. So Kathleen, let me start with you today. You head up an all Green Spring committee called the Memory Support Committee, and tell us a little bit about that and the objectives of the committee.
Absolutely. There is support from corporate for all the communities to be developing resources for residents to be able to optimize, their ability to kind of keep their brains, as stimulated as possible, and to provide different types of activities and different types of community supports along the way. So that's sort of the gist of the plan from a corporate level. And then the communities are all tasked with being able to implement that planning. So the Memory Support Committee is really a committee of people who are interested in being able to work with the residents.
This is an all-staff committee.
It's an all-staff. We have designated subject matter experts that were designated by our administrators to be kind of the subject matter experts for the different topics. So Shirley is the subject matter expert for memory fitness, memory health. I'm the subject matter expert for that, and then memory care. Melissa Taniff, who's in Garden Ridge, is the subject matter expert. But we have on the committee lots of other interested parties. Dr. Bala is the physician champion with the medical center, and we have Heather Shirey, who's the speech therapist, who's very involved in cognitive rehab. Yes. We have Joe Culligan, who's our intermissions coordinator. And we have representatives from Garden Ridge. In addition to Melissa, we have Devonna McFarlane, who's the manager for our memory care unit. And periodically we have different other people.
How long has the committee been in existence?
It's been in existence about just a little over, just short of a year.
All right.
And before the committee got stood up, we were actually in work groups and conference calls with corporate and with our other community partners to really just continue to talk about the subject and brainstorm about the directions that we wanted to go in.
Are all communities doing the same thing?
They are doing similar things, and then the great part of the corporate partnership is that the communities are able to go in the directions that fit their communities. And if there's a community interest in going in a particular direction, then we would be able to do that, and that would not be a problem.
And depending on the personnel involved, it would vary, I would think, a bit in terms of capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Now in October of 2013, we met, all 16 communities had their subject matter experts come to a memory support forum that was held in Baltimore. So we had a lot of people getting together, and there were a lot of brainstorming sessions, and through that process, it was about a 2-day process, we really started to define what the goals would be for 2014 in terms of the memory support continuum of care.
Is this just the beginning of it now that we're talking about here? All right, you see this as a continuous process?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're really just beginning. This is probably the first full year that we've really started to want to develop programs and really push out the initiatives to the community.
All right, now Kathleen, define for us what memory fitness is, since this is the topic of this particular program Tell us what you mean by memory fitness.
I think memory fitness, and Shirley will do a much better job of explaining it when it's her turn, but I think in general terms, memory fitness is the process of enriching your environment and engaging your brain in ways that are going to allow you to build up cognitive reserves. I just read a Washington Post article at the end of April, which was on knitting, which was very, very interesting. But they quoted a Mayo Clinic study that was done in 2012 of about 1,300 seniors. And what they found was that people who crafted, did computer activities, played games, computer games, that they were 30 to 50% less probable to develop a mild cognitive impairment. So that's a significant,
yes, it is.
Significant
yes,
finding.
That's amazing.
And so that's sort of what memory fitness is being able to help people to kind of expand, continue to use their brain, stretch their brain a little bit, enrich what they do, and be able to keep engaged in all the different levels that Shirley's going to talk about, to be able to develop those cognitive reserves. That's the whole point.
Cognitive reserves is a term that maybe you need to define. I'm not sure I know what you mean by that.
I know.
Cognitive reserves.
Right.
I haven't heard that phrase.
Right. Well, cognitive reserves are built up when you do just what we were talking about. You use your brain, basically.
But is it an increase in the amount of cognitive power?
I think all the connections between the different regions in your brain, all those pathways that we talk about,
yes,
they get built up over time as you develop your brain, as you use your brain. So one indicator of cognitive reserve is how much formal education a person's had. So if a person, went to college, got their doctorate, for example, then that would be an indicator of good cognitive reserve. Also.
Oh, all right, I see. This is something that you come in with a certain level, and you're saying you simply want to maintain or increase that level.
Yeah, you can develop
it.
it.
I hear
and
what
I
you're
mean,
saying.
I think it's like if you were an artist,
right,
or what this article said was if you were a crafter, then you would have developed good cognitive reserves because all of those regions of your brain had developed those nice pathways, which are protective. I think more than anything else is that they protect you against stresses and other kinds of disease processes. So it's kind of almost cognitive reserves. I think we think about in terms of being more of a protective element.
All right, against any debilitating kind of situation.
Right, that if you come in with a good amount of cognitive reserves, even if you do develop some memory impairment, it's not going to potentially be as pronounced as what it would be if maybe your cognitive reserves weren't so good.
This is designed for folks in independent living primarily.
The memory fitness, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shirley, will you tell us exactly what it is that is offered by Greenspring now? I know you head up most of these efforts. Tell us what you're doing.
Okay. Well, Memory Fitness sort of predates the Memory Support Program. It was the first initiative, really, that Erickson started.
And this has been going on how long?
Since, actually, I looked it up because I was thinking, how long have we been doing Memory Fitness? And actually began in 2009. So it's been almost 5 years that we had did our first group of trainers. Was myself and Carol McFadden when she was here as the resident life administrator. We went to through a corporate training at that time with the staff from the UCLA Institute on Aging. They developed the Memory Fitness program, and we had a 2-day training on how to teach the skills and the strategies and the science, supposed science behind memory fitness. And so that training was in October, I believe, of 2009, and we did our first classes at that time. So Memory Fitness has been on campus for a while. I know we have lots of alumni out there, and hopefully they're cheering for us up here. The Memory Fitness classes, do you want me to just tell you the details about them?
Tell us exactly what the components of this are.
Okay. Well, Memory Fitness, the program itself is a series of 12 classes over a 6-week time period, an hour-long class, and
So it's twice a week. Each class is an hour.
right.
All right. You offer this twice a year?
We have done it 3 times in a year before, but I think that as far as the different communities are trying to do a minimum of twice a year, 2 series a year. We have usually 12 to 16 people in each class. We start the enrollment a few weeks ahead because there is an enrollment process for Memory Fitness, and what you and Kathleen were talking about a few minutes ago about cognitive reserve and just different levels of memory support. The Memory Fitness is really a wellness program and a fitness program. I kind of liken it to going to the gym as opposed to going to physical therapy. You go to the brain gym with Memory Fitness. It's a chance to learn some new skills and work out together. So
Now, is there a pre-test and a post-test? How does that work?
yes. I mean, there's 2 different aspects of that. That's a really good question because we do have a screening process for the Memory Fitness class because
All
the
right.
Memory Fitness classes are pretty rigorous. I mean,
All
there's
right. So you need to be functioning on a certain basic level
Right.
in order to
the
go
class
into
is
those
designed
classes.
for people who are basically cognitively healthy. They
And how
may
do you
have some
determine that?
complaints about their memory, and that's why they're interested in taking a
course.
course. But it is really for people whose complaints are minor, and we do what's known as the MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. It's a standardized 30-point screening. Residents who move into Green Spring do that as they enter the community as
do
part
that
of
same
their
test?
pre-residency screening. So some folks have done it recently and we don't do it again. But if someone has not had a cognitive screening, we do screen for the course because it's, as I said, rigorous, and we want people to enjoy it and benefit from it, not feel frustrated by it. Typically, if I screen 16 people for the course, 15 are fine, sail right in. But if someone doesn't do as well on the screening and feels concerned about whether the class would be right for them, then we have other alternatives in the community for a more therapeutic approach to memory loss or memory concerns.
All right. So if there are problems that are indicated on the MOCA test, they would talk to you and you would suggest other things.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
well, that makes sense.
And as you go through your series here with memory health and memory care,
Right.
those different alternatives and resources
Will
for
be
residents,
discussed.
you'll
Yes,
talk about
exactly.
those. But
All
I
right.
like your question because we actually, as part of the Memory Fitness, we do assessments in the first class and in the mid part of the class and at the end of the
Oh,
class.
you do?
And we do what we call our subjective memory assessment and our objective memory
All right.
assessment. And the subjective memory assessment is simply a questionnaire about how you personally feel about your memory, how often you forget things, whether you lose your glasses, whether you have difficulty understanding what you read, remembering what you read, that sort of thing. So residents go through that and give themselves a subjective memory score. And without looking at the document, it's hard to maybe picture it, but it's a number, and they might score like 65. For example, on the points they'll give themselves for their memory concerns. And then we repeat that same subjective memory assessment at the end of the course. And I was really pleased at this most recent course. Every single student improved their subjective memory score. In that
Now,
they
what
felt
about
better.
their objective?
Well, that's another, and I feel like that's really easier to measure. At the
Yes,
first
of
class, we
course.
give a word list of 10 unrelated words, locker, tree, nurse, boat, any random list of words, 10 words. We study them for 2 minutes. then we do something else for 20 minutes, and then we do a recall exercise. And the first class, some people are adept at it and might remember quite a few. Most people know. They're not prepared for that kind of an objective memory test and maybe only remember 4 or 3 or 1 or none. But the last class, after we've gone through the strategies for internal memory support and the other lifestyle things which we can talk about too that are part of memory fitness. But everybody does great. I mean, seriously, improve. Some people get all 10, lots get 9.
So you see almost
improvement.
always a substantial increase in the scoring.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm trying to think, that of course, there are some people that do and feel better about themselves at the end of it than others, but I think basically everyone feels that they've made some improvement and gotten something out of the class.
All right. Well, I think that's very good news for all of us. All right. So the memory fitness classes, and tell us about the other things that we can do. We have Mindbenders, and tell us about the Mindbenders.
Okay, the Mindbenders is really kind of a offshoot of the memory fitness, although it's open to everyone. There's no screening, there's no real structure to it in terms of X number of classes, or it's just a memory fitness group that meets once a month.
Resident group.
A resident group meets once a month on the second Wednesday in the town center cards room. And we just do a lot of fun memory exercises. I see you put up a little maze. That's from the memory fitness class.
This is one of the little exercises that you do is a maze.
A maze is good for spatial reasoning, and it exercises the right side of your brain a little bit. And then, but we do a lot of different things in Mindbenders. I try to come up with some kind of a structure. We sit at tables with groups, so people work together, and we do crossword puzzles, word searches, word ladders, lots of different kind of things that. There's our flyer. Just lots of different things.
It's
hard for me to
it's
really.
a social thing as well as trying to use your brain.
Right. It's a very social
so it's fun
opportunity.
and
We laugh a lot.
laugh,
We have a lot. I think we do riddles. We could practice a couple riddles on
you do?
Kathleen.
No,
she
no,
doesn't
no.
like riddles.
I hate riddles.
yes, we actually had plotted this out, Kathleen. Tell her a riddle.
No.
Don't
She
wanna
won't
do
like that. But I could tell you another one, Marcia.
I didn't have a single answer when she put them out.
I know,
So
they're like stumpers.
I know it. They should be obvious, and they're not.
It's really fun to do a list of 20 riddles, because by the time you get to the 7th, 8th, or 9th one, people are starting to
get the
think
hang of it,
differently.
That's
And
what she said,
and
but
you-
by the 4th one, I still hadn't figured out the
But you really
pattern.
do. It's sort of that plasticity of your
Right.
brain, and you start to begin to, and that's the exercise of your brain where you actually are trying to twist it a little bit and turn it and stretch it a little
Stretch.
to figure out what that picture says. Instead, if it's a word in a square, what does that mean? Not necessarily that word, it has another meaning. And we do a lot of that in Mindbenders, and we do the things
Do
that
you have
people
to sign up for it or anything,
No.
Shirley?
just wish that lots of people would come, because it's a lot more
How-
fun with more people.
How large a crowd do you normally get?
We usually have 10, 10
Well, it
to
sounds
12
like great
people.
fun. It really does sound like
It
fun.
is fun. I think folks enjoy it, and I know I enjoy it. So that's good. So that's Mindbenders.
All right.
And we talked about memory fitness. Another memory fitness program project we have that we've done the last couple of years is the memory fitness workshop. We called it an expo this year in 2014, but we're going to go back to being a workshop, because we really do think it is a workshop.
Yes.
And I don't know if Channel 6 has a graphic for that, but basically the workshop is a 2-hour program spread out all over the Hunters Crossing Conference Center with different stations that represent sort of the different components of memory fitness. And back when we were talking about the classes, I probably should have brought this up, that it's not just the mental aerobics and the brain activity. The memory fitness program really is a wellness program that encompasses really important lifestyle habits that are healthy for your brain, such as physical fitness, exercising your body gets, of course, more blood and
Yes.
energy to your brain, stress reduction. I mean, I think we all know that stress kind of burns your brain. I mean, if you're under stress, it's hard to really remember anything.
I wonder if we have that particular graphic.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I think this, do we have this graphic? I think this, Shirley, you had
So
indicated-
this is the memory fitness workshop. We have the stress reduction, the physical fitness for the brain, the mental aerobics, and then the brain healthy diet. Those four points are the main core for memory fitness classes, but the socialization is built in. By
Yes.
the time you gather
Yes.
together to learn or to play, like in Mindbenders, then you've got the socialization going, which is very energizing and very healthy for your brain.
When is the workshop?
Well, we've typically done it in the spring. We did it this year in March. It's a pretty big extravaganza. We probably won't do that more than once a year.
All right.
But we have had 100 or 20 or 30 people come through and enjoy the different stations. This is a kind of a little passport design. I think it was really well enjoyed by many, many residents, and we'll definitely do that again.
Do it again
Probably
probably
in
in
the
the spring.
Yeah.
So we have our ongoing memory classes. We'll have 2 or 3 sessions each year. We have the Mindbenders monthly on the second Wednesday, and the workshop.
Well, Shirley, you've
yearly.
also started, and Kathleen, you've also started this weekly series of social work presentations on memory. The last one being last week.
Right.
And that's a one-shot kind of thing.
It's a one time only, so everybody needs to come. But definitely, we wanted to do a tie-in with the memory theme
All right.
because we know how important that is to our residents and how interested they are in that information. I know the first one was a huge success.
It was. You had well over 100 people. It was very well attended. And there are 3 additional ones. Tell me, do you have other plans, future
Yeah.
plans, Kathleen? Where is your committee in terms of what you're thinking about doing?
Yeah, I
at this
think we're
point?
just really wanting to expand and just be as creative as possible in the things that we start to do. It's definitely a wellness model, as Shirley said, and we can't neglect to talk a little bit about the role that the medical center plays in this whole continuum of care. So the doctors are really, and we're going to have Dr. Bala
Yes.
for the second one in the
Yes.
series, but to just know that they're also educating the residents on a regular basis about the importance of diet, the importance of physical exercise, all of the things that they talk about in memory fitness. Definitely the doctors are trying to really approach that, especially in your wellness visit that everyone should be
Yes.
having on a regular basis,
Right.
an annual basis, to be able to talk about keeping your brain fit in the same way that you want to keep your body fit. So really educating the residents on that, and the doctors are really championing that and really, taking
So
an active
they're on
role.
board with this whole effort.
They are totally on board. And then
Good.
in terms of, I love this because it's really got a lot of the information that we want to talk on, that we're really looking at ways to maybe partner with the fitness center for, as you have in this graphic, physical fitness for brain health. So partnering with
Yes.
with the fitness center to be able to maybe do a physical exercise and then a riddle or something, and be able to kind of pair those to be able to sort of get more bang for your buck, Stress.
Well, now, Kathleen, aren't you also starting riddles on Channel 6?
We are. We're going to start
And in
doing
the dining
that.
room? Did I hear that?
We're thinking
correctly?
about that. That's another thing that we're thinking about. So yeah, just kind of, all of the different possible
I think
things
that's
that we
fun.
can do. It will be fun, and it'll increase socialization in the dining room
Of
too.
course it does.
So there's all different kinds of aspects to that. We're looking at maybe ways to use our creative art therapists. We have a music therapist and an art
Yes.
therapist on campus. To be able to maybe do some programs on stress reduction, because as we were talking, stress, does sometimes contribute to cognitive or accelerates cognitive decline. So we're definitely looking at stress reduction. We're just, trying to think of as many things as we can do.
So this is still in the planning process, really?
Yeah, we're rolling things out as they come up. So we're definitely, I think, ahead of the curve. I think we've got a lot going on. There's a lot more in the works. So I think I would just say, for the residents to keep their eye out for different programs that we're going to be offering as we go through the year.
All right.
One thing I'll add, that what you were saying earlier, Kathleen, about the work groups and the communities communicating with each other about what they're doing across the Erickson communities for memory health and wellness and et cetera. We're learning from what some of the other communities are doing and sharing best practices and good ideas. So I think that our Green Spring workshop has spread among some other communities, and they've done similar things. And I think the idea of doing some of the memory brain teasers and things like this on Channel 6, other communities have started doing that as well, and we're getting some ideas from them.
So Green Spring is providing some leadership.
Absolutely.
Right, and we're getting some
And
good
we're
ideas
learning.
from others too. So it's really,
Yeah.
it's very, it's not just in our little community, it's really a big initiative. And just one thing about our social work series, back to the memory series, it's sort of heartening for me because I think 5 years ago we did our first social work series, and it was called The Healthy Brain. And, it was different from what we're doing this time, but it was about, we had Dr. Bixel come and talk, and we had some other physical fitness Viva people talk, and so it was very well attended and received. Here we are now 5 years later on our 5th social work series. We're back on the brain again, and so, but in I think, a much more comprehensive sort of scientific wellness model way.
We also could indicate that Viva is another is another program in which there is assessment, cognitive assessment.
Yeah, they really provide a really nice assessment.
They do.
Yeah, really nice.
I agree. I just had it recently and had forgotten how sort of comprehensive it really is. I know, you would have to laugh, wouldn't you? Oh, shoot, that was certainly appropriate. All right, well, I think at this point, is there anything you'd like to leave us with at this point? Until now, Kathleen, you and I will be back here next month, along with Dr. Bala, talking about excuse me, talking about memory health. Is there anything either one of you would like to leave us with today as we close up here?
I think just, stay tuned to what might be coming. There's going to be lots of new things, so there'll be something of interest for everyone. Take advantage of what's there already, for sure.
How are you going to let us know, Kathleen, what is coming up?
I'll come on your show.
All right, all right.
And we'll do kind of the usual things that we do, the scrolls and the bulletin boards and all of that.
Yes.
But definitely. And also, if any of the residents have any ideas about things that they would like to see on campus, they should, give me a call, give Shirley a call, and, we'll definitely look into it.
All right.
We would love feedback.
I think that's an excellent invitation. Thank you both so much for coming on today. This has been fun, and we will see you next month.